Hi, and welcome to another edition of Seniors Today. I'm your host, Tom Barty, and our guest today is the Executive Coordinator for the Central Core Restoration Corporation, otherwise known as CCRC, Erin Bakke. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you could make it today.
Me too.
So what does an Executive Coordinator at CCRC do nowadays?
Well, it's a little like cat herding, but what I do, we have an 11-person board, and I'm in charge of sort of making sure all of our programs go forth. And those things include managing the farmers market, the Saturday farmers market. It includes managing our security patrols. Black Talon provides security in the downtown 5 days a week. And so I help to coordinate that. Also working to coordinate graffiti cleanup, trash pickup, sort of the maintenance of the downtown, all of the services that the city isn't necessarily obligated to provide on a regular basis. We provide, and I coordinate. Cool. Yeah.
So how long has CCRC been around? Do you have that? Has it been maybe almost 15 years?
I think it's been 15 years. I do think that's right. I want to say 1999.
And it was created to kind of supplement, as you pointed out a second ago, the city's ability to take care of some of the basic needs of the downtown, the infrastructure, safety, security, et cetera.
Right.
And my experience, that they've actually been pretty effective, and a lot of it is related back to not just the board, but whoever is the executive coordinator. And I know you've been doing an awesome job.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I just was hoping that we could share a little bit about what CCRC does in the downtown, and kind of point out how it extends to things like, if let's say somebody at the Marina Towers needed some help with something, they could probably call your office if it was related to a security issue or sanitation,
right,
or something like that.
Right, and I get those sorts of calls all the time from all different places, and from property owners or residents who are concerned if their street isn't being cleaned on a regular basis, or perhaps there was a break-in in a parking lot and they were affected, and so I will work to put them in contact with the appropriate agencies and help to try to negotiate their solutions for them. So I try to be of help in whatever way I can, and that includes I'll get referrals from the city's economic development department, from potential businesses who are looking for a place to set up shop, and I'll try and coordinate them with property owners who may have a space to lease that maybe isn't on the grid or has been under advertised.
So if somebody needs to reach you for those kinds of services, what are the best ways for them to contact you?
They can contact me via email. That's probably the best way, and that address is ccrcvallejo@gmail.com. Or they can contact me by phone, and embarrassingly, I don't have that number memorized, but it's 707-557-6762. And if I don't get back to you right away, do not despair, because I will get back to you.
So it's 557-6762.
Yes.
And ccrcvallejo
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Easy. We also have a website that's less than a year old. That was a long-time goal of CCRC's to create such a website, so that's now up and running. And the web address for that is downtownvallejo.com, and on that website we also will provide free of charge to any property owners listings if they have properties available for lease or for sale. We provide a business listing of all the businesses that are in the downtown. We put out a quarterly newsletter that you can request to be sent to you by going to that website. And we just generally try to keep folks up to date on what's going on downtown and what CCRC is doing.
So there's quite a few different events that happen in the downtown, and I know CCRC is always in the background trying to help promote that and so on. What are some of the things that are happening downtown?
There are a lot of things going on downtown now that I think a lot of folks don't really realize because you know, the downtown has had an identity crisis of late, and people have avoided it, but it is becoming a friendlier, safer destination, and I know that CCRC plays a large role in having established that environment for people to come down to see art, to catch entertainment at the Empress Theater, and they have entertainment there every Friday of various sorts. They have the Wednesday Night Rambles, which are the first and third Wednesdays. They have Soul Shine, which is funk and groove music, and there's a great dancing crowd that comes out for that. And then the fourth Wednesday is blues. In addition, they've got a lot of weekend events that go on as well. So they're bringing in some wonderful acts, and they can also be found online as well with a full schedule of their programming. Since February, there has been a Friday night art walk at Second Fridays. There has been a growing number of artists who have moved to the downtown, and therefore we have a lot of galleries and two relatively new community centers. They are both around a year old, and one is the Hub and one is Artisan, and they're both in the heart of downtown, and they offer their own programming, and that includes Poetry by the Bay, which is hosted at the Hub. I don't know if it's every Thursday or on a monthly basis. And that used to occur down at the Ferry Building, but they were displaced because of a change in hours. And so they stepped up to host that. And that's a wonderful cultural activity to participate in. They also recently did a one-man show from a local playwright. They provide what do they call them? Crafternoons, where you can come and work on Crafternoons, where you can come and work on different projects. They have a gallery of both of these places have gallery space that will host local or regional artists. The most recent one at Artisan was Jose Martinez, who is a coal shed artist. Coal shed is a gallery and artist studio spaces on Mare Island. So there is ongoing cultural activity going on in the downtown that people are always surprised by.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be fair to call it sort of a renaissance.
I think that would be very fair.
Of the art and entertainment district downtown.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I had a chance to go to Artisan and see Jose Martinez's work, and there's some really incredible combinations of charcoal and watercolor, and he even did some pointillism with stick pins.
Thumbtacks.
And the thumbtacks,
Mm-hmm.
and these giant like 6x8, like thousands and thousands of thumbtacks that when you look at it from a distance, it's an incredible picture.
Right.
But up close, it's just a bunch of thumbtacks.
Yeah, it's a great optical illusion, and people are always really surprised by that.
But this guy is a young man, and he's incredibly talented. I would encourage anybody to go down there and take a look at it. I don't know how long the show will be there, but Artisan has music, and they have regularly rotating displays of different artists, and the same thing in the Hub.
Yep.
And both of those are in the 300 block of Georgia Street, right?
That's right.
And then it continues down Marin, and all the way, really all the way down to Florida and Marin.
Correct.
Where the Godot studio, McCree Godot, or Godot McCree, the studio.
Depending on who's talking.
Yeah, the studio down there where there's, they have jam sessions with blues, jazz.
Oh, yeah.
Even at the corner of Marin and Virginia, especially on the second Friday night for the Downtown Art Walk, they have jam sessions there too.
That's right, they do.
And the old Masonic Temple,
Temple Art Lofts.
Temple Art Lofts,
Yeah.
on the ground floor, the old bank has been converted to an art gallery.
Right.
And they have some really incredible pieces in there, plus
They do.
sculpture. And then the downtown window storefront art, what did you
The
call it?
Vallejo art windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if any of our audience hasn't been down there to check it out, it is really an amazing transformation.
Right.
Downtown.
And I'll give that website out as well, if you don't mind, because you can find a map there. And it's VallejoArtWindows.com. And there will also be maps available at the Ferry Building, at the Hub, at McCree Godot. You know, many of the galleries we're going to work to keep those stocked, because that's been an initiative in partnership with CCRC, sort of an arts-based economic initiative to put art in what would otherwise be vacant storefront windows. And it's been a real shot in the arm for downtown, because, you know, human beings are visual creatures, and we take our cues from what we see. And when what you see is sort of, you know, downtrodden, or it looks bad, we draw conclusions from that. And so the Art in the Windows project strives to remedy that by putting really high quality art, and we had some amazing talent apply this year. We ended up with 23 artists from all around the Bay Area, Emeryville, Jenner, Oakland, Richmond, and many local artists as well, in storefront windows along Georgia, Virginia, Marin, and Capitol Street. And it was really well received, and those will be up for a year. They do their job for a year, or until the spaces are leased, and of course that's the goal.
And I failed to mention a couple other places. I know the Vallejo Naval Historical Museum
Oh yeah.
has a regular rotating show of art and historical artifacts. And also across the street from there, they have a little, I don't even know the name of it, but they have poetry reading and other kinds of really cool New Age kind of stuff going on there.
Oh, at Integrity. I think that's what you're thinking of.
Is
On
that-
Marin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do drumming circles. Yeah, they do all kinds of wonderful things. So there's a very broad spectrum of sort of cultural
and so
activity.
if you go down on the second Friday night of the month, it's a guaranteed fun time.
Yeah.
And some really cool stuff happening. And there's a lot of people down there. I would say there's like between 300 and 500 people over the course of the evening.
Yeah.
So it's safe, it's fun, there's a lot of stuff to do, street vendors, food.
Yeah, you can get something to eat.
And yeah.
There's music happening here and there, you know, street musicians, and the jam session that takes place there on the corner of Virginia
and not to
Marin.
mention the Empress and what's going on there.
And they've always got something going on there.
You know, and another thing people don't realize is that there's way more different kinds of businesses downtown than most people expect. Like, what is the current count for how many restaurants are downtown?
I believe we have, I want to say between 7 and 9. We have 3 Chinese restaurants, barbecue, and a couple of sort of Americana style restaurants.
And then we have, isn't it El Nepal? Don't we?
That's
still-
right, and a Mexican restaurant, which is one of my favorite places.
And now we have the new microbrewery down at the Ferry Building,
Yep,
which is an
fantastic.
awesome place to go. And
That's been a great addition. I think people were really ready for that to show up. They barely got their doors open, and people just filled the place.
one thing I noticed too is that the dry docks on Mare Island have new ownership, and they've shifted their focus from ship deconstruction to ship repair.
Yeah.
And it's a company that was successful on the East Coast that has taken over here, and they brought a lot of their connections to the West Coast, and they have a backlog of business. And they're expecting, right now they're between 120 and 150 employees, and they're expecting to double that in the next year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I happen to just coincidentally end up down at the microbrew pub.
Where all information is disseminated.
Yes, the Mare
Yes.
Island Brewing Company. And I had, the beer I had, I think was hydraulic fluid sandwich or some crazy thing like that. but it was awesome. And I happened to run into some people there that were hanging out from the dry docks, employees from the dry docks, and students from the Maritime Academy, and it's just the synergy and the energy downtown has shifted.
Yeah.
And it's like the beginnings of a tsunami wave of our community going through a new redefinition and a rebirth.
Sure.
And it's really exciting to an old timer like me,
Yeah.
who my secret to staying alive is that I just wake up every morning. But,
I heard that.
yeah, I heard that somewhere. So there's got to be a couple other interesting events coming up on the horizon. Maybe the Mad Hatter?
Well, the Mad Hatter, and I believe it's the first weekend in December, so I want to say it's December 6th, but barring having a calendar in front of me. And
I think that's right.
Yeah, and they do a whole festival. They have the parade, which is a sort of a twilight parade, and they've got, flame belching horses and lights, and it's really quite a spectacle. And then part of that is also the tree lighting ceremony that takes place down closer to the library. And another aspect of the Mad Hatter Festival is the home tours, the historical home tours that they sort of package in as part of it. It's a real celebration of Vallejo and, sort of old and new. It's got a real sense of fun to it. And I think that's been a really important thing for people to catch on to. Sometimes we go through grim years, but it's not such a bad thing to have a little fun and to celebrate, and be silly. And the Mad Hatter is a fun, silly parade, and the art walks are fun. And we need to enjoy ourselves and come downtown and have a good time, have a good meal, have some fun, meet some great people. That has been a real attractive thing to me. I moved to Vallejo only 3 years ago, and the first thing and the thing that is still with me is how wonderful the people are here. And I spent 20 years in Vegas, and I made many wonderful friends there. But Vallejo is full of warm, down-to-earth, welcoming people who are not afraid to work, who want to see their city succeed and are willing to do what it takes to make sure that happens, from the next door groups, the neighborhood watch organizations, which are very tight and well organized and have made change, neighborhood by neighborhood. And I think that the arts community is working to do that in the downtown. There's a grassroots arts organization. They call themselves the Arts Alliance, of which I'm actively a part, and they have the common shared goal of working together using their own particular gifts and talents with the very specific vision of helping the downtown and then Vallejo at large to be a better city. And I admire that passion in Vallejo's people, and I think that it's, these new things that are happening, in the downtown are not new. They are built on the efforts of so many people who have come before, who laid the foundation. Vallejo was a thriving and dynamic city for so many years. What's happened in recent past is a dip, and fortunately change is, it's always going to come. And so now we can look forward to a positive change. And I really believe that, you talked about this tidal wave, of sort of wonderful energy, and I've also heard it called critical mass. We're getting a lot of positive